Okay, everyone, welcome once again to our trending topics class. I'm Shayna, one of the dietitians. And as you can see here at the end of August, we are talking all about back to school and doing what I like to call a virtual store tour. So let's take a look about what that really means. Am I hanging out in the store today? No, I'm not, even though my background kind of looks like it. But what I'm going to be doing instead is taking you virtually through the departments and the aisles to show you some different product picks that I have for the school year. Okay. Now, if you're sitting there thinking to yourself, well, I'm not in school or I don't have kids or grandkids in school, no worries. I really feel like all of the products that we're going over today can be just great for getting back into the routine now that summer is unfortunately winding down, which I feel like we really felt this morning, at least in my area. It was like 48 degrees when I woke up. So yeah, even if you don't have anybody in school right now, this could just be a way to think about some ideas to get back into the routine of fall, or just really things that you can incorporate into everyday meals and snacks. All right. But we're also going to really focus on what should be composing those meals and snacks. Okay. What are those key notes that are especially important for those who are in school? Okay. So let's go ahead and dig into that first, starting with breakfast and lunch. We chat about it all the time. Of course, that word balance. We want to make sure that it is present at both of those meals. We're going to take a gander at the plate method here in a moment. I'm sure a lot of you have already seen it, but just a bit of review, right? We are in school here today. Um, but things that are really important, like I said, for everyone, but especially for those kids who are in school trying to focus, trying to learn, and then maybe powering through some other activities during the day, we need to think about how we can keep them satisfied and full. And then also the different foods that they're eating in the beginning of the day or around lunchtime, they create what I like to call an energy bank. Okay. We're getting in food and resources into our body that's going to give us sustained energy throughout the whole day. So the couple of nutrients here that are really going to help with feeling full and with creating that energy bank are going to be things like fiber, protein, as well as good fats. So a lot of the items that we discussed today are going to highlight those key nutrients as well as key things that we look for in a snack. Okay. Oftentimes I think I get questions about should I snack? Is it okay to snack? And absolutely, right? We need to be snacking to help bridge that gap between meals, and it's especially important for kids who are in school because it can do a couple of things. One, it can help with just our brain power as we're sitting there or they are sitting there throughout the day trying to get their schoolwork done. But a big one that it can apply to anyone and everyone is that snacks can really help to regulate our mood. Okay. Um, there is nothing worse than, I know this happens to me and my daughter often. She comes home from school and she's so hungry, but we're trying to practice spelling words and, all of that jazz. And she's just not having it because she's just so hungry. We need to regulate that mood. I know it happens to me too. Come like mid-afternoon, I'm like, I gotta eat something. So snacks can be beneficial for all of us in that capacity. But also maybe some kids or grandkids, the neighbors who go right from school to athletic activities after class. So what we're looking for in those settings are some products that give them quick energy from carbs. And whenever they have that energy from carbs, they're going to perform better physically and mentally. Okay, so very important all around to be looking for those items in both our meals and our snacks. So everything that we covered today will be highlighting those goals. All right. As promised, I said we were going to take a look here at the plate method when we think about that balance and what we're really trying to capture at our meals, especially in the school kid setting. is this right here. Okay, half of our plates, fruits and veggies, a quarter greens and protein, and then our side of dairy. Always love this visual because it's that visual that you can take with you anywhere. You yourself can take it as you're shopping. If you go to a friend's house or maybe out to lunch with a friend, and your kids, once they know this too, they can take this in their minds with them to school to think about, am I really getting all of these things in my lunch here today? So let's go ahead and dig in. I have a hodgepodge of categories that we're going to talk about as you will see as we go along. There's so many products that I would love to tell you guys about, but there's only so much time. So I tried to limit myself, but I got a little carried away at certain moments while putting this together. So of course, in the way of fruits and veggies, anything that you find in our produce department would be excellent, okay? Whether you're doing fresh, you're doing frozen, you're doing canned, all of them would apply here. But I wanted to show you guys some items that were a little bit more unique, maybe a little bit more exciting for little ones, or ones maybe that you didn't know that we had. Okay. So we're going to start off with this one here from Bolt House. This is a newer item in our stores. They are carrot shakers. We have them in ranch and in dill pickle. Now, here is how they work. So they come in these big bags, and inside of them, you get 5 smaller bags. Each of the 5 smaller bags has a separate compartment. You can kind of see it here in the ranch one, the blue, that white little pouch. Each little baggie has this little pouch inside that you rip open, and then that seasoning is released onto the carrots, and then you shake them. Okay. Once again, great item for anybody, but why I really love these for like a lunchbox is that we don't have the mess of a dip. All right. I have been there trying to put like a dressing or a dip into the lunchbox, and then it leaks everywhere, and it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing that you don't want to do if you haven't already been there. Okay. So these can be a really fun item to get in the fruits and veggies. Well, not fruits, to get into the veggies, get that fiber for fullness, but have fun at the same time. All right. What do we got next? This is a big personal favorite in my house, the crispy fruit products. I think that we have mentioned them on classes before, but they are always a good one to talk about. If you're not familiar with crispy fruit, they are freeze-dried fruits, so there is nothing added to them, no added sugar, anything like that. They are just simply the fruit that has been freeze-dried. Very different than, say, like a dried raisin or apricot or cranberry, okay? Very different in the way of the texture. As the name implies, these are crispy. They're like chips almost, but they're fruits. So lots of great flavors here. We have them in big bags, which have 4 individual bags inside, or you can buy the smaller individual bags also. This is one of those great quick energy snacks. This is something that my kid will eat just last night on the way to soccer practice. Okay. So a really great snack item or lunchbox item, or throw it in your purse on the way to a doctor's appointment item. And we're getting in fruit at the same time. Similar to that, in the way of veggies, now these are baked. Okay, so we have baked green pea snacks from Harvest Snacks, and lots of different flavors of these as well. You can see on the right, lightly salted. On the left, I really like the Caesar. But I wanted to highlight these for you guys specifically. I know a lot of us are watching our blood pressure and specifically the sodium content of foods. So if you're still looking for that crunch like a chip would give you, but a better for you option, these could fit that bill, and they're going to be low sodium. Okay, the one on the right, 75 milligrams of sodium. The one on the left, 80 milligrams of sodium. So once again, you get that feel of the chip, but without all of the salt. Next one, another that I really like, the squeezable applesauce pouches are a huge hit with kids, but also adults, okay? This is another great one to keep in your bag, especially maybe if you suffer from your blood sugar going low, something like that. A nice squeezable applesauce can do the trick. These in particular, I like to highlight because they are blended with electrolytes. So if you have kids who are in sports, once again, looking for that quick energy, but then also replenishing electrolytes at the same time, this can be a good way to do that with no added sugar. All right. Let's move on now to this is a big hodgepodge of a section. Trail mixes, nuts and seeds. All right, let's see what we have in there. And I went this direction next because these trail mixes here are actually found in the produce section. Okay, they are refrigerated along the wall where you would find like the fresh cut fruits and things of that nature. These are a coconut trail mix from Fresh Face Foods, and they have 3 different fun flavors here. The reason that they are refrigerated is because they contain that fresh coconut. Okay, so what you do here, it's hard to see on the packaging, but if you look at the clear part of the packaging, like the clear rectangle down there, on the left is the trail mix. But the picture on the right is showing you what the trail mix looks like once you put the coconut in. Okay, the coconut is in a separate baggie in there to keep it nice and fresh. You open that up and then mix it all together. Give it a shake. Once again, kids love stuff like that. I love stuff like that. So a cool option here, something a little different than your average trail mix. Once again, in the produce section. These are 2 great trail mix options within our brand. So on the left, we have our omega-3 packs, a mixture of cranberries, almonds, walnuts, and pistachios. So omega-3, of course, being great for our heart health, but also our brain health, which of course is a big thing with kids being in school. So if your kiddos would like something like this, I'd highly recommend them. You can eat them just as they are as an individual pack. They make for a great salad topper or to put in yogurt. If you're looking at them and thinking, the kids in my life are not going to eat that, understood, maybe they would go for something like on the right, we have our Monster Trail Mix, also in individual sized bags, a mixture of raisins, peanuts, M&Ms, almonds, and cashews. So a fun one there too. And it's called Monster Trail Mix, which just makes it appealing. Now here's an example of a homemade trail mix. This is one that my daughter came up with just this past week as she was gearing up for back to school. And it started over here on the left with the strawberry Chex Mix. Okay, it's strawberry vanilla Chex Mix. This is not a seasonal flavor. This is one that they carry all the time, but she and I both didn't realize we had. Super good. And the strawberry Chex inside of the cereal are delicious, and they're like pink and glittery. Like it's not actual glitter, but it is a good lower sugar option for a cereal. I believe there's only 8 grams of added sugar. That was the base of her trail mix. Then she added the honey roasted almonds from Blue Diamond. She loves pretzels, especially the ones from Snack Factory there. And then, yes, these yogurt melts are found in the baby food section, but I know a ton of kids and adults who love them if you haven't tried them before. They are from Gerber. They're these yogurt melts. It's just a little something of a different texture and taste in the trail mix. There's a couple different flavors. So this is her little combination that works well for a homemade trail mix. You make a big batch of it at the start of the week, put it in a closed container or bag, and then portion it out for the week. It works pretty well. Going on, besides trail mixes, I said we would chat about seeds as well. So pumpkin season is upon us, right? A few people have already come out with their pumpkin products, specifically coffee brands. I know that I have already had 2 pumpkin spice lattes this season, and they've been delicious. This morning really would have been the morning to go get one, but that didn't work out today. But along that pumpkin theme, pumpkin seeds can be a great option to be putting in the lunchbox to have as a snack. whatever it might be. Here is Top Box, a couple of different flavors from them. If you were on Coffee Chat, I would say it was probably 2 months or so ago, I gifted the hot honey, Nashville hot honey one to Jenna, and she said they were very hot. So just be mindful of that. But there's some other great flavors out there. The ones on the left, surprisingly, the barbecue ones are low sodium. So a fun option there from Top Box. Also thinking about nuts and nut butters. This is a newer item from Jif. It is a peanut butter and chocolate spread. So we also have a peanut butter chocolate from the Peanut Butter Co. But I think it's kind of neat that Jif came out with this because Jif, of course, being a really familiar brand. So my daughter is not a big fan of just peanut butter, but we got this last week. She tried it, made a strawberry and peanut butter and chocolate sandwich with it and loved it. Only 8 grams of added sugar, so much, much less compared to your 20 plus added grams of sugar that you would find in something like Nutella. And I really love here on the right that you can get individual sized ones as well. So just like the picture shows, dipping apples, dipping strawberries in there, same along the lines of added sugar with that container too. So I really like this option. Once again, lunches, snacks for anybody. And then along those lines too, with the nut butters, these are jammies that come from Sun Butter. So they are made with sunflower seed butter. So they are nut free. They can be school friendly. You know, check different schools have different parameters about what you can take in terms of those things. But this can be a good one for those who are watching allergies and things of that nature. Okay, and also only 8 grams of added sugar. So a nice highlight there. These are going to be found in the frozen food section. I love them as either an addition to a meal or even a snack, okay, if it's going to be a little bit until you can have a meal again. I think that these can be a good snack option. All right. Like I said, my random array of categories, we're going into dips now. Like I mentioned a little bit ago, I'm not big on dips in a lunchbox that can be messy, like a ranch dressing that's very liquidy. These aren't going to be those types of dips here, okay? So we'll start off in the middle. Guacamole can always be a fun one. I like these in particular from our brand because similar to that peanut butter I just showed, they are individual cups. So it's also going to stay, you know, nice and fresh and sealed until you or your kids open them up at lunchtime. We don't have to worry about them turning brown like a guacamole could potentially do. So a good one there. Both products on the outside of this page are going to be different types of hummus. Roasted red pepper hummus is my favorite. Once again, individual cups are going to be in this box over here. And then on the right, we have chocolate hummus in our Taste of Inspirations line. This is 110% Joni's favorite item in the store. I mean, I didn't ask for that, but I just know it so well that she loves it. Okay. So great item here once again for strawberries, apples, pretzels, what have you. A little bit of fiber, a little bit of fat, a little bit of protein. But like my kid likes to say, I want a treat, a sweet treat in my lunch. And this can be that nice fix for that as well, if you're craving a little bit of chocolate. Okay, on to meats. Okay, of course, we can pack deli meats, things of that nature. Maybe you pick up a rotisserie chicken and pack that in the lunchbox. But a couple of different unique products in the way of meat. These are found in our natural and organic section. They're an all-around, I feel like, dietitian favorite. The Vermont sticks, in particular on the left, the uncured turkey pepperoni sticks are my favorite. They're mini, so they just I don't know, they're just great. Like they're just great to go along with anything. And you know, me talking about mini, I feel like we're gonna backtrack. Bear with me here, guys. I don't usually do this, but I feel like I skipped a slide in my produce section that was about mini things. It's not here. Where did it go? I don't know what just happened to that slide, but there's a lot of different mini produce items in the store, like mini cucumbers, mini bell peppers, and things of that nature that you should check out because those are fun too. I apologize for running all around here. I don't know where that slide could have disappeared to. But back on the subject of different meats to pack, I really like these Vermont sticks. Similar to that, we have the chicken snack sticks. These are a newer item in the store. Different flavors here, once again, Nashville hot as well as teriyaki styles. So these can be a good option too if you're looking for that quick and easy portable protein. All right. And then last up in our meat section, we have Shady Brook Farms here. We've chatted a lot about them this month. And I think that they have a really great place in back to school, especially breakfast time, with their lean turkey sausage breakfast link here. I love stuff like this because I don't want you to feel like you have to be making this the morning of school, right? We could be making these the night before or maybe on a Sunday, cooking them up and then just reheating them later in the week. And there's no one to say that we couldn't be packing these in the lunch too. I am all about a breakfast for lunch, or if we're thinking even busy time of year dinner is breakfast for dinner. I think that the Shady Brook Farms product here can be a great resource in that capacity for a great protein to put any time of the day, really. Okay, so definitely check those out and grab those if you haven't done so already. All right, let's look at bars. I feel like we get questions all the time about what's a good bar to pack in the lunchbox or in my purse or in my car. Our tried and true go-to is going to be our protein granola bars. I've eaten so many of these in my almost 10 years at Giant. Um, but they're a great staple item. As you can see here, 10 grams of protein. There's only 6 grams of added sugar, and I believe it's 7 grams of fiber. We have them in our peanut, dark chocolate, and almond flavor on the left, as well on the right here, just the straight peanut butter. So give these a go if you haven't already. Also gluten-free, so a great option in that way too. Here we have one of my favorites, the Kodiak brand. I'm going to talk so much about them even more in a minute. But on the right, I've really liked these chewy granola bars from them. It's a big staple in our house, especially the s'mores flavor. 7 grams of protein over there. And then one of their newer items, the soft baked breakfast sandwiches, or excuse me, breakfast bars. They have a couple different flavors. I have not tried these yet, but I'm going to now. This is the blueberry oat flavor. And like I said, 10 grams of protein. So if you're looking for easy, you're looking for portable, whether it's a meal or a snack, I feel like this is the great one to go to. This is the new favorite in my house. My daughter picked these out last week and she's been eating one every day, whether that be for breakfast or an after school snack. And that is from Kind. Also in the natural and organic section, these are their healthy greens energy bars. In particular, the mixed berry flavor is the one that she goes for. So as you can see, made with 19 grams of whole grains, made with some actual fruit as well, the strawberries, the blueberries, the raspberries. So it's giving us that sustained energy to fill that energy bank, like I mentioned, to power us through the day between all of those great whole grains and fiber. Okay, I believe that this is, nope, I have 2 more little sections to go here. The carbon protein party. I was running out of names to call these sections because some of them really combine together. And this is, like I said, the carbon protein party. What kind of party would you not want to be at like this? All right. First one is Dave's Killer Bread. They have a great line of bagels as well. So fun different flavors here. And why I'm pointing these out is because we don't always have to use bread to make a sandwich. Whether you're eating at school or you're eating at home. Bagels don't just have to be for breakfast time. And what I really love about these is they're all going to have anywhere from 10 to 13 grams of protein. So especially for little ones who might not be into eating meat or other sources of protein, maybe they love a good carb. I think that this is one of those good carbs that you can love and then get some good fulfilling protein at the same time, as well as, of course, all of the whole grains too. So check out those and the different flavors of those bagels there. Back to the Kodiak brand, and thinking about getting that carb and that protein at breakfast time or any time of the day. They have the frozen waffles, the frozen pancakes, the frozen French toast stick there on the left. Also, they just have regular pancake and waffle mix if you would prefer to make your own. A couple of times I've highlighted their cups. They have muffins in a cup, pancakes in a cup, that you just pop in the microwave with some water. But the big hype about all of them being that they have the protein, they have the fiber. This one on the far right, I have not tried these yet because I was not aware of them until I was doing some searching yesterday. But these are maple pancake sandwiches with bacon, egg, and Colby Jack cheese, my favorite. 20 grams of protein. So in the frozen section, once again, I will be picking those up and letting you know how they are. Now, if you are a tried and true Eggo person, I totally get it, and that's fine. Stick to what you're familiar with if you would like. Eggo just now came out with some protein options too, from protein pancakes to waffles. The minis on the left are always a big hit. Those packs are microwavable, and then you take it on the go. Um, Out of all these flavors, I love the strawberry. I've tried the chocolate as well. That's the other favorite in my house, but I really like the strawberry. This is my last section, guys, okay? I know we are already almost at time and I haven't even touched the circular. I apologize. But so much to show you. If we want to get in some probiotics into ourselves, into our kids, into the grandkids, Lifeway Kefir is a great way to do that. They have big bottles. They have little bottles, which is on the right, and in the middle, we have the squeezable pouches of it as well. So a great way to get in those probiotics, build up our gut health, which can be so helpful for so many things, including immune health this time of year. So a good option there, followed by one of my favorite brands in the way of yogurt, because I'm not usually a big yogurt gal, but I do like the Painterly and Sisters that we see here. They are a local brand to Pennsylvania as well. Lots of different flavors. And still you get that high amount of protein in these also. Last one, my new favorite product, found in the natural and organic section, these mini Greek yogurt bars. They are a little piece of heaven. I had a conversation with Kylene about them the other day. She loves them too. They're the perfect little mini size to get like that vibe of like ice cream, but it's not ice cream because it's just refrigerated, but you get the protein. They're only 70 calories. They're delicious. Okay. Couple quick reminders before, if you have to hop off, I totally understand, but I'm going to very briefly peruse through the circular here. But just a reminder, there is no class tomorrow, as well as there is not a class on Monday. Okay, so happy Labor Day weekend. Enjoy your time, hopefully with family and friends. So coming up next week on Tuesday, Charlotte will kick off our sheet pan produce class at 12 o'clock, and we will go from there with our regular classes. But I want to thank everybody so much for hanging out with me and hope that you take care throughout the rest of the week and weekend. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and stop the recording. Let me just check out